This is the Angels Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Los Angeles Angels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Now that is what I'm talking about. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, after every single Angels game, right here live on the Locked On Angels YouTube channel, and after the fact, both on the channel and wherever the heck you get the Locked On Angels audio podcast feed. If you don't know who I am, what's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area, spent 4 years covering UCLA sports with the Daily Bruin, and now in year 2 with the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Our team is the Angels, and boy, oh boy, how great it feels to say that tonight. A lot better than how it felt to say that Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, right? Sunday night, it felt a little better saying that, and today it does feel very good saying it as well, because the Angels pick up a pretty impressive 5-1 victory here to open up a big series against the Tampa Bay Rays. Before we jump into this one, I can just tell the vibes in the chat are amazing. Larry, what's going on? Cat Soup, what's going on? Wish I could pronounce that, but Cat Logo, what's going on? Rico's in here. How you doing? Larry, you're making me laugh. What up, Steve? How are you doing? 187. I'm here to chew gum and glaze Gavin, and I'm all out of gum. Hilarious. But yeah, shout out to everybody in here. Can tell the vibes are great. Mateo, what's going on? Mahoka, what's going on? Jello, David, Gilbert, everyone else. Cole Contreras. So many happy people in here tonight because the Angels really had a stress-free good win. And there's a lot of great things to talk about in this one. We needed a game like this. Boy, oh boy, did we need a game like this because of everything that we were talking about over the weekend, right? So many feel-good stories in this one. We will certainly get into Taylor Ward having another 3-hit performance. As you can see there, is it time for an apology? Taylor Ward. We have to, of course, talk about Bryce Teodosio, and I'm getting better at saying his name. You better get better at saying his name after what he did tonight. But despite what some people might expect, I'm actually going to start in a different direction with today's show. There's a bit of delay. Uh-oh. It's not working, guys. All right. Well, I was trying to do the player of the game transition. It did not work. But the player of the game in today's show, as you can see, I'm a little flustered here. I want it to work.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
There we go. It does work. And I wanted it to work because the guy deserves it to work. It's not Taylor Ward. It's not Bryce Teodosio as much as he deserves it. It is Yusei Kikuchi, guys. It's Yusei Kikuchi because this was such an important start. And when I give out the player of the game, of course, you want to give it to the guy who has the best performance. And you can certainly make an argument for Taylor Ward or Teodosio in this one. But I also want to give it to a guy who either really exceeded expectations. So then again, you might be saying, how is it not Bryce? But also someone who might have high expectations. We might really need a big performance from them in this game, and they gave it to us. And that is exactly what Yusei Kikuchi gave us tonight. We needed, really needed a strong performance from him, and I'll tell you why. We talked about the pressure that certain guys on this team have to perform, knowing how weak other parts of this roster are. And we have gone on and on about how disgraceful it is that Jack Kwanowitz is still our 5th starter. And again, I don't want to disrespect him when I say that. It's not his fault that he's being put in a position that he's not ready to be in yet. But it's a disgrace that Jack Kwanowitz is your 5th starter. It's really not a great look that Kyle Hendricks is your 4, right? Or that Tyler Anderson even is your 3. It puts so much pressure on Yusei Kikuchi as your ace and Jose Soriano as your number 2 to be great, right? And so coming into a huge series against Tampa Bay, and whether you want to be a homer that thinks the Angels are in this AL wildcard race, whether you want to be a extreme pessimist that says these games don't even matter, or if you're somewhere in between like myself, this series is monumental to see if we're going closer to the pessimistic side or the optimistic side, right? Against a Rays team that if the Angels can't pass up the Rays by this series with how bad the Rays are, and the fact that there's still three teams above them they have to pass to make the playoffs, then what are we even talking about, right? So much pressure on this series, especially after you not only don't win the gimme series against the White Sox, you should have swept them, right? But you don't even win the series. You lose the series against the White Sox. So there's so much pressure to win this series. And of course, it's so much harder to do that if you don't win the series opener. And so for Yusei Kikuchi to come out tonight as the ace, as a guy who has so much pressure on him, not just the ace status, this money committed to him, the fact that the Angels lineup was not good this weekend, so you didn't know if he was going to get run support tonight, how shaky the bullpen is. I can go on and on and on and on about how important this start is. And for it to start the way it does, where you have a double that probably shouldn't have been a double, Hae-Sung Kim singles, and it's first and third, nobody out before you blink, before half of the people in the stadium are even seated. There's runners on the corners with nobody out, and then a full count against a stud in Caminero who gets a sac fly on what wasn't a bad pitch. But just like that, it's 1-0 before Kikuchi's even really settled into things. We know how shaky he has been at times at the beginning of games, but boy, oh boy, the way he locked in. And yes, of course, the Angels lineup deserves a ton of credit for giving him 2 runs in the bottom of the second when he needed it for moral support, 2 runs in the bottom of the third when he needed it to make his start a lot more comfortable. But for him to get out of that first inning with only giving up that 1 run, then have a pretty solid second where, again, he gives up a leadoff single, you're thinking, oh no, is this another bad inning? But he settles in, a strikeout, gets a line out, then gets a 2-out strikeout on Fortes, and from then on out, he was good. He had another shaky start to an inning, and that's the funny thing is the first 3 innings were all started shaky. All 3 start with the base runner. He walks Andy Diaz, then a 1-out walk on Junior Caminero makes it first and second, but then strikes out Christopher Morel, strikes out DeLuca, and gets through the third. And then from there, you really saw him settle in. A 1-2-3 fourth, where he looked very, very good. A 1-2-3 fifth, where he gets a great play from Zach Neto, but other than that, was looking really great as well. And then in the top of the 6th inning, gives up 1 single, got another good play from Zach Neto. It was a good, calm start, right? And that's what you want from your ace. You know, we get entertaining, kind of chaotic starts from Jose Soriano, where he's going to give you a bunch of, wow factor pitches. He's got the crazy velocity, the crazy knuckle curve, slurve, whatever you want to call it. The splinker is nasty, but he's also going to give you a bunch of walks. He's going to give you a bunch of double plays, but also some hits and maybe, the occasional big inning, right? We know Tyler Anderson does not get deep in games. Kyle Hendricks doesn't get deep in games. And we know that Jack Kwanowitz is a whole situation, right? But for Kikuchi to come in and really, yes, there was a leadoff base runner the first 3 innings, but outside of the first inning, you never really felt worried. He settled in and he had a very impressive start. He gets through 6, which is huge, and then gives an opportunity for the bullpen to not have to do too much. The lineup gave plenty of help as well there, but Brock Burke comes in, just 1 hit in the 7th. Zephyr John, just 1 walk in the 8th. And then Brogdon comes in for the 9th because it's not a save opportunity. Just 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and the Angels have a really impressive, well-rounded pitching performance, and that's what we needed because we did not know what lineup we were going to see from the Angels tonight. We did not know based on what we saw on the weekend where you have a 1-hitter, a 1-hit shutout against the White Sox on Saturday where you weren't really good on Friday night. And then even on Sunday, things started really late because you were down 5-0 going into the late innings, right? So we did not know what offense we were going to see from the Angels tonight, and especially against the starting pitcher in Hauser, who has been quite good. But for Kikuchi to do what he did tonight was huge, and for the bullpen to finish things off, you love to see it as well. Now, with all that being said, we have to get to the honorable mention of the player of the game, and while Taylor Ward certainly has an argument because he has another 3 hits and another 2 RBIs, and he's shutting up Gavin a little bit as he's getting closer to an 800 OPS once again. Bryce Teodosio, and I'm saying the name right now. I was saying it incorrect over the weekend, but you better learn this guy's name. Either way, you better learn this guy's name because Ray Montgomery and really upper management made it very clear. He was getting called up for a reason. He was going to get a lot of reps at center field, whether you liked it or not, right? And one thing that we knew he was supposed, he was advertised as when he came up was his glove and his speed, his range, maybe his arm. That's still TBD, but you know that he is a defensive plus, and we don't really have anybody. I mean, think about it. Do we have a single player? We don't have a single player on this team where their defense is their strength, right? We know Christian Moore is young and not there yet. We know Joe Adell is a shaky glove. We know Taylor Ward is more than a shaky glove. Mike Trout is so unhealthy, he can't even play in the field. Neto is, I'd say, an above average fielding shortstop, but that's certainly not his strength. Sean Well, he's the first baseman, and he's pretty average there, right? So the rare guy that he is a plus in the field. And you know me. What infuriates me the most is when guys have one job. There's one thing that they are advertised to do, and they don't do that, right? It's why, as much as it's annoying for these guys, because hitting is much harder than fielding, probably, it's why I'm so critical of Taylor Ward when he does not hit, because it's all he can do. It's why I'm critical of Joe Adell, because he's been struggling in the field. It's why I'm so critical of the DH position and whoever is there, because they are not contributing defensively, and because no one on this team outside of Zach Neto, no one on this team contributes on the bases as well. And so for Teodosio, to come up to this team, his clear role is hopefully your bat is okay. We're not expecting you to hit any home runs. Hopefully you can hit 250. That would be pretty darn good on this team. In fact, 250 would be the third best average on this team. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. If you can hit 220 and be an A- glove, that you are an absolutely positive. You are going to stay on this roster. And we need you to man things out in center field until Trout is healthy, and who knows when that's going to happen. But not only does he look like he's going to be an okay glove, and we say that ironically despite not anything special in the field tonight, but three hits for him. And I already see it on Twitter. People are saying, is he the next, great fielder, the next center fielder for the future? Who knows? It was one performance, right? He has not had much of the sample size because he was hurt for most of his year this year in the minors. He had a few, games with the Angels last year. We don't know much about him. But the moral of the story is we don't have many guys, if any guys like him, that are defense first, speed second, contact third, power is like the last thing you're worried about with him, right? And he is what we need, right? It's why I was saying, do we really need a Taylor Ward when we have a Joe Adell and a Logan O'Hoppe and a Mike Trout, right? Do we really need that when we have guys like that, right? Do we really need more slug, more power, not a plus in the field, a liability on the bases? Do we really need that? And as much as I love a Kyron Paris, and I still defend Kyron Paris, and as much as I do think Matthew Lugo might have even had an opportunity, the moral of the story is those are not the type of guys we need. We needed a guy like this, a contact hitter, a speed demon, and a good glove. And I was hoping that would be Rengifo. That's what he was last year. Maybe not a speed demon, but a relatively quick guy who also was a decent glove back then and a contact hitter, right? Right now, he's not any of them. So if Teodosio can be that, he can hit in the 9 spot. We don't need him to hit 6th or 5th or anything like that. If he can hit in the 9 spot and hit 220, 230 while being an A glove and a plus on the bases, we would absolutely take that. But guess what? Guess what we learned in just one start tonight? Just one. It just took one for us to know. There is an upside of higher than just being a 220 hitter that gets on base occasionally and is quick and plays good defense. And that might be the best news of the night tonight. Outside of the win, of course, the best news of the night might be that there's upside with Teodosio. Jesus. I'm going to call him Bryce T for now on. Bryce T, there is an upside. And that's what you love to see. So really impressed with him today. 3 hits and a run. He showed you some of that speed. And hey, the slash line looks amazing right now. 429 with the 1,000 OPS. Again, we don't need him to do that. We don't need him to hit 300. If he can hit 240 and be what we need him to be with his speed on the bases and his glove in the outfield, it's perfect. Teo, everyone's saying to call him Teo. We can call him T-Man, Bryce T, Teo. We'll see what the official nickname for him becomes. But for now, he is a above average 9 spot hitter and fielder in center field. At least that's what it looks like after tonight. And that is absolutely positively big time news. What's going on, MCAT? Christopher says Bryce CT. I love it. We're going to take our break. When we come back, we have to talk about the rest of the lineup because it wasn't just him. Taylor Ward, you better give him his flowers. Mike Trout actually showed you some stuff tonight. It's good to have Christian Moore back, even though he didn't really contribute tonight. We'll talk about all of that, and we'll kind of give you a brief preview of the rest of the series with Jose Soriano starting tomorrow, and more importantly, what does this series against the Rays mean in terms of this AL West, or not this AL West, this AL wild card standing? Because I know I don't want to talk too much about this race. I still don't think we're really in it. But obviously, when you're playing one of the teams in the race, feels like a logical time to talk about that. So we'll do that after our break here on a victory edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. I'll be right back. Now, on this Monday, today's show is once again brought to you by our wonderful new sponsor, 5 Hour Energy. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5 Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And that's certainly the case for me. Like I always say, I use pre-workout before the gym, and I use 5 Hour Energy Transfusion whenever I need that boost during the day. So whether it's golf, which is all about good times with good people and good flavors, or anything else in your life, the grape, ginger, lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. And today's show is also once again brought to you by FanDuel. Now, you know how much I love, keeping up with the sports action in more than just a few ways. And FanDuel, what's great about FanDuel is, if you're not in California, of course, the app. That's the number one thing. The FanDuel app, I love it. When I'm in New York, or I always say when I'm in. The one time I was in New York and I used it, when I'm out of the state, whether I'm, down south or anywhere. FanDuel, the app is money, and you need the app to be money, because if you want to make those same game parlays, those live bets, the prop bets, all of that, you need FanDuel, the efficiency of its app and all the fun promotions they have as well, including right now. If you use code LOCKEDONMLB, if your first bet wins, you'll get bonus cash, and that is money. So make sure you use FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On and MLB. Again, FanDuel, code Locked On MLB, and take advantage of all of their great offers. Back here live on a victory edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast. The Angels have won 2 games in a row, and hey, you win one more, and it's a winning streak. The Angels now 55-58 after a 5-1 victory over the Tampa Bay Rays. They officially leap the Tampa Bay Rays in the AL Wildcard race that I still don't think the Angels are in, but we'll talk about it in a second just because. But quickly, let's recap what the rest of the lineup did tonight. Zach Neto does go 1 for 4 with an RBI. Nolan Schanuel, the rare game where he does not get on base via the walk or the hit, but he did score a run. Mike Trout, just 1 hit. No walks today, the rare thing for Mike Trout. But the good news, he hits a double, and he actually shows some decent wheels. He also ended up scoring, sliding into home plate. And anytime you see Mike Trout slide, you hold your breath. You hope he doesn't break a finger. You hope he doesn't hurt his hip. You hope he doesn't mess up his knee. Didn't do any of those things, so that's a big win. Of course, Taylor Ward would have been the player of the game if it wasn't for Kikuchi and also Bryce T, because Taylor Ward goes 3 for 4, and maybe the most shocking thing of all, no strikeouts for Taylor Ward tonight. You absolutely love to see that. No strikeouts for Taylor Ward. Moncada, we never see this guy play baseball, but he did tonight. He goes 1 for 3. Again, there's still a scenario where if Moncada stays healthy and you're going against righties, he is a good bat against righties. He's not a healthy guy, and he's not good against lefties, but he is a good bat against righties. And we have plenty of good bats against lefties, or plenty of good right-handed hitting people. But to have a left-hander other than Schanuel that's hitting well, we love to see that. And so Moncada, he does have a hit tonight. He's got a 756 OPS. If he can stay healthy, he's a decent addition in this lineup. Joe Adell had the big swing, the 2-run home run, and that was arguably the biggest swing of the game. It's so good to see him do that, because he's been struggling a lot lately. Crazy that OPS is down to 752, and the average is still below 230, but that's one of the bigger swings of the night. In case you missed it, he got the scoring started after a leadoff single from Taylor Ward. Joe Adell hits a 2-run shot in the bottom of the second to give them the lead, and it came on a 1-2 count. He gets a hanging changeup, and he sat back on it and crushed it. 428 feet, absolutely Love to see it. 107 exit velo off the bat. The Angels also added 2 more in the bottom of the third. A hit by pitch on Nolan Schanuel. Mike Trout with the double. That makes it second and third, and then Taylor Ward comes through. You love to see it. If unfortunately Mike Trout's not going to do it with guys in scoring position, Taylor Ward, you need him to continue to do it. And that RBI number continues to creep up. A 2 RBI base hit there as both Schanuel and Trout score. That made it 4-1. The Angels did pick up 1 more run in this ball game on a Zach Neto RBI double that scored Bryce T. Got to give him his credit here. He had a beautiful double, line drive into right field. Didn't really have to show off the wheels, but he showed off the power. Opposite field on a slider or a sinker, down and away, and he hit it really hard, 103 off the bat. Able to get to second, and just like that, it's 5-1 Angels, and that was all she wrote. You didn't have to use Kenley Jansen. You didn't have to use Andrew Chafin. You didn't have to use Luis Garcia, and you still pick up a very easy win on Monday night. You absolutely love to see it. Now, real quick, we are going to talk about, yes, I agree, Sad Noodle. I like his swing. It does look very nice. Andre is asking, who is the third baseman of the future for the Angels? Who knows, right? Who knows? It looks like, in my opinion, you would love the future of the Angels infield to be Ohapi at catcher, Schanuel at first, Christian Moore at second, Zach Neto at short. That all feels like it's locked in place. Now, of course, we need to see Ohapi improve behind the plate as a fielder. We also need him to be more consistent at the plate as a hitter for that to be the case. But I think that is the best case scenario, right? Is Ohapi, Schanuel, Christian Moore, and Neto. That would all be locked in. The question becomes, who is our third baseman? I mean, there is a scenario where Yoan Moncada, if he can stay healthy, he's not horrible, right, as a fielder, and certainly not as a hitter against righties. But also Rengifo can certainly be plugged in the third. He's been doing it a bunch this season. The outfield, don't know how set that is. Feels like they're committed to Taylor Ward. Feels like they're committed to Mike Trout, of course. Well, not feels, they are. And it feels like they're committed to Joe Adell as well. You now have a guy in Teodosio who might be part of the future. You know, Nelson Rod is a part of the future in the outfield as well. But outside of that, you don't really know. The moral of the story is, yes, I agree, Christopher. You could have drafted Ethan Holiday, and he could have been the future of third base. But the moral of the story is that's not really what the Angels are worried about right now. I think it's more so about figuring out what's going to go on in the outfield between you still got guys in Kyron Paris and Lugo who could be there. You've got a couple of guys who are on 1-year type of situations with Adell and Taylor Ward. Mike Trout, you don't know if he's going to be healthy. You have another kind of rental guy in Jorge Soler. So, interesting to see what's going to happen with him too. Third base just kind of feels like a plug and play right now. Fortunately, when Moncada has been healthy, he's been pretty decent. We just need him to stay healthy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there at third base. The moral of the story is right now, the big takeaway from tonight is that Teodosio does have the capability to be an everyday starter at center field. It's just one game, but at least he's shown you that ceiling and that it is there. It is something that he possesses. Now, before we wrap this one up, we're going to talk about this AL wildcard race very, very briefly, because as much as I don't think the Angels are in it, as much as this weekend only going 1-2 against the White Sox certainly hurt it, the moral of the story is Rhett Bollinger and others are putting out articles and talking about this playoff push. And the moral of the story is the Angels are making it a priority, whether we like it or not. Their decision not to sell at the deadline, their decision to actually go and acquire bullpen arms, it proves that they want to make a playoff push, have meaningful baseball for as long as possible. And so the one thing I will say, as much as I don't want to say the Angels are really in this AL wildcard race yet, is that this is a monumental series because the Rays have been awful. Absolutely awful as of late. You catch them at the beginning of a 14-game road trip. They have 14 road games in, I believe, 15 days. So the moral of the story is you caught them at their worst because they're already in a huge slump. They have now won 2 of their last 11 ball games. They're 2-9 in their last 11. And so we officially leaped them today. We are now 55-58. They are 55-59. So guess what? If you win tomorrow and Wednesday, you can put them in the rear view mirror. Feels like you don't have to worry about the Twins. They were hard sellers at the deadline. The Orioles were hard sellers, and we know the A's and White Sox are not in it. So if you can keep the Rays well out of your, in your rear view mirror, then guess what? You got 3 clear teams in front of you. The Royals, who you're a game back of, they did acquire Mike Yastrzemski. I don't know what else they did at the deadline. They certainly weren't huge buyers or anything. I believe they also might have traded someone away. But you're just a game back of them. You're 2.5 back of the Guardians, who they're an interesting team. They really are an interesting team. They're kind of average in every way, right? 2 games above 500, 2 games above 500 at home, exactly 500 on the road. Their run differential is -4 or is -27. So not as bad as -63, but -27 doesn't scream like a sure playoff team. What's interesting, the Rangers, because they got a huge win against the Yankees tonight. The Yankees are absolutely scuffling. The Rangers were 3.5 back of them. The good news is we'll have plenty of games against the Rangers still with them being in the division. But the crazy thing, dude, there's plus 69 run differential. Their expected win-loss is 65-49, but they're just 59-55. Our expected win-loss is 50-63, guys, and yet we're just 3.5 back of them. So certainly feels like you control your own destiny still, in the sense that if you're able to leap the Rangers, obviously, would also have to leap one of those teams between the Mariners, Yankees, and Red Sox. Just with two of those teams being the Mariners and the Rangers, those being two teams in your division, feels like you can theoretically control your own destiny in beating them whenever you play them. And that makes every series against them extremely important. But the moral of the story is, for now, the goal is to win each game you play, and it would be absolutely monumental to just officially get the Rays in your rearview mirror if you can beat them 2 more times today. Maybe if you win 2 more times this week, you also leap the Royals, and then you can kind of feel like you're in the race. But for now, you're not out of it yet, and that's what we will take. I love it. You guys are making me laugh. Gilbert saying, so what I'm hearing is we got a chance. Gavin, don't do this to me. Don't get my hopes up. Sad Noodle says, I didn't like that we're doing a playoff push, but I'm glad this is the extent of the buying that we did. That is true. Akura Man said, Gavin said, yet. He said, yet. There's a chance. There's a chance, but it's just a chance right now, and it's still a very, 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 very small chance. And let me make that clear. It's still a very small chance, but it is a chance nonetheless. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you guys so much, as always. Another really long show. I do need to shorten these up. Also, another humble plug is that the Rams postcast will be starting up this weekend. The Rams with their first preseason game, and it will be on the Locked On Rams YouTube channel. Some surprise things coming with that one. It's going to be a very different format, a very cool format. So if you are a Rams fan, in addition to the Angels, be on the lookout for that with the first preseason game coming up. But for now, you know it. I will never be missing an Angels game when I am available. So I'll see you guys back here tomorrow night, Wednesday night, all that good stuff. For now, enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Celebrate that win. Go Angels. Light that baby up, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Take care. Go Angels. Big win, baby.